red button here.
Yeah. Ready for me to take it from here? All right. Good
Yep, go
evening,
ahead.
everyone. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're really so glad you are here. Thanks so much for joining tonight. I want to say in total, last time I looked, we had 565 people registered for this event. And I think that's pretty darn amazing for less than a week of outreach and getting the word out. It's really humbling to be in this virtual space with you all. I see friends, colleagues, members, alums, staff, all of whom we call Friends of National Service. And you all, these Friends of National Service, are ready to take action to protect AmeriCorps. But before we go any further, we want to review a few things, what I call building the learning and welcoming environment. As a reminder, this event is not hosted, sponsored, or funded by AmeriCorps in any way. Everyone here is acting in their personal capacity as a member of the Stand with Service community. And a few notes about our tech forum. We want you to actively use the chat and reactions to show your support. You can see people sharing the heart emoji as speakers talk and as you connect with one another. Just find your friends in the chat, send out your hearts, and actively use the chat to share your connection to AmeriCorps and where you're joining from. We plan to take local action in person, so it's really going to be vital to find your friends and your soon-to-be friends that are nearby. Make sure you post any thoughts, ideas, questions as we go through the next hour. There's a Q&A box that some of the team will be monitoring. If we can't answer something on the call, we'll try to share responses later in the online community that we're going to make sure all of you are a part. And please know that this meeting is being recorded and we will make the link available on our online community so that you can share with friends who couldn't join today. All right. So, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Amy Salinas. My AmeriCorps story is no different from any of yours. AmeriCorps changed my life. 30 years ago, I was kind of a lost soul. I say that often and never felt like I really belonged anywhere. AmeriCorps changed that. My term of service was impactful in so many ways with opportunities to meet and serve alongside really dedicated and diverse people of all ages and backgrounds, including AmeriCorps senior members who were there to make a difference and to be a part of something special. And that term of service put me on a new path and represented the beginning of my AmeriCorps story and of the growth of my AmeriCorps family, a group of which I belonged to for 30 years as a program staff person and alum, commission staff person, AmeriCorps consultant, AmeriCorps Vista trainer, and I'm just an overall AmeriCorps fan. And I'm really guessing your stories are very similar, which is why you're here. So again, I want to say thank you. The greatest privilege of my 30-year career in AmeriCorps has been the honor of meeting, knowing, and working with the AmeriCorps heroes that do this work and service each and every day. And that includes, again, each of you on this call. So I'm going to say thank you like so many times. Throughout this call, you're also going to hear a few speakers who will help walk us through how to go about the work we are asking you to do. And I want you to join me in enthusiastically welcoming through your little emojis and comments. We're going to have Anna Gibbons, Jay Lisak, Michael Duffy, Tess Mason Elder, Jake Schlachter, who you've already heard his voice, Alani Rose, and Danny Creamer. All of these great individuals are going to share their stories and talk to you about their own calls for action. I want to take a moment to pause, to take some deep breaths. I want all of you all to put away the distractions and really just focus on our time together today and reflect a little bit on the trauma that we've all been through over this last month and more. Our AmeriCorps world has been devastated. Programs have been terminated, staff have been fired, laid off, or put on admin leave, and members have been told they must go home. They must stop serving our country. And in the end, it is also the end beneficiaries, the communities, and the environments that get hurt the most. You each are here because you care about our AmeriCorps family. You're here because you want to find your place in this fight. And we are here because we believe this fight must be done in community, in solidarity with members of our AmeriCorps family. And over this month, much has happened with a lot of energy coming from different spaces. Groups have met, organizations have taken the lead, individual conversations have taken place, lawsuits have been filed, calls and emails have occurred, drives across the country have happened, stories have been shared, and social media posts have been made. And I want to reflect back on the first Stand with Service meeting I attended, thinking, who the heck is this group? I really want to find out more about them. I was really moved by the passion, the commitment, the feeling of family, and the fire that was exhibited in the chat space and by the presenters. So I reached out to Jake, who facilitated the meeting and from whom you will hear from in a short bit. We scheduled a meeting. We talked about the different ideas and desired actions we were both talking about in our separate spaces and groups. And at the same time, another friend who is in the chat space, Shannon Stober, of which many of you all know, experienced the same thing. And she took the same action. She reached out to Jake and scheduled some time to talk. So we both saw an opportunity to join forces, which is, again, how we're here today. The Stand with Service group and what I call the Friends of National Service group really wanted to do something more on a local level to raise visual and overall awareness about the devastating terminations and cuts to our AmeriCorps family. And this moment in our long history really requires urgent, widespread action. And we both believe that the power of we and our on the ground friends we know and have the ability to reach could do more on a local level. And so we want to direct that passion, y'all's connections, y'all's energy into strategic action. If you can't tell, I'm a Texan because I said y'all like 3 times. Nothing speaks to this more, than the words. I was reading some LinkedIn posts this morning, and one of my friends, Leah Lambert, who's a current AmeriCorps Vista member, said she is regularly reminded in her service that with opportunity and support, people can achieve remarkable things. That's why we're here today, and this is why I'm ready to take action with you all. We want you to listen to what is discussed tonight and get ready to dig in for the next 4 weeks to help us save AmeriCorps, to help us save service. Our goal is to move you and others to join a distributed organizing campaign to create public pressure on members of Congress to restore AmeriCorps funding and programs. And we join this fight for service alongside our friends at America's Service Commission, at Voices for National Service, and Service Year Alliance, who have been working very hard every day to move the needle and to provide vital resources to get the word out and contact our political officials. And now what we need is a groundswell of activation to keep our shared message loud. This activation, this action will rely heavily on forming teams in your local district. We can do this. We have done it in the past. We are doing it now, and we can do even more over the next few weeks and beyond. We are not alone, and together we can achieve remarkable things. So I'm very pleased to welcome our first speakers, Anna Gibbons and Jay Lesak. If you joined Stand with Service for the NCCC recognition of service the week before last, these are familiar faces. Anna's NCCC team, Blue 2, was demobilized this spring, but found a way to carry on with their project anyway. And Jay is a former NCCC team leader who now works in Maryland at a literacy nonprofit that has hosted NCCC members. They join us today to speak about our current moment. Anna and Jay, just take it away.
Good evening. Thank you so much. It's so good to see everyone again. And as many of you know, my team, Blue 2, was demobilized on April 15th, 2025. But thanks to some amazing inspiration by my friend Alani on Blue 8 and a groundswell of support from the field, we were able to raise funds to deploy to our project anyway. So right now I'm calling to you from Cottage Grove, Oregon. My team is around here somewhere, but they weren't able to hop on the call today. I think they're in the audience though. And here we are engaged in land management and soil restoration. So we're doing a lot of great environmental work that we're really excited to be a part of. The vast majority of people that I've connected with in the past year through AmeriCorps say that NCCC was a formative and life-changing experience. Um, and yet, after the events in the spring, it feels like such a kind of distant time now that we were all separated and all um, back in our homes or in different parts of the United States. Um, but through remobilizing and getting back together, I kind of found my calling to, and I felt like this is something very important that I want to be a part of. So, once most people have served, I think it's pretty common that you feel like you have this kind of passion and call to service after your time with AmeriCorps, and like you might have to devote your whole life to it. But right now, like I know a lot of us are scared. We don't trust federally funded government programs anymore, especially since so many of us are just starting off on our careers and we don't have the savings to withstand the layoffs. And it's been somewhat traumatic time, but I think this is a time to build resilience. But seeing the response to our request to fund our project was so heartwarming. And now, more than we need, something that's needed more than ever is people across the country who understand the importance of service. We need people behind us, carrying us forward in the mission that we set out to complete and continue service. So we need the next in line and the third in line and the fourth in line for people to start dancing with us too. I'm so happy to see you all here today and to be here with you in the next steps. And I'll pass it on to Jay now, who served just a few years before me.
Thank you, Anna. I know that I'm not alone here in sharing my admiration of what you and your team is doing. And I think that this is really a great call to action to all of us alums who have gone before you to really step up to what you're doing and match the energy. So I really join you tonight in your reflection that AmeriCorps is life-changing. I know it changed mine. I went from being jobless and feeling adrift and really unsure to rebuilding my life and finding a major sense of purpose with NCCC. And it's something that I will always hold dear to me and never, ever forget. Sleeping on a cot in the attic of a church while supporting community work in Baltimore. And I had no idea that I would now call Baltimore my home. During my service term, I met someone I truly connected with, a site sponsor of mine, and someone who would become a colleague and dear, dear friend. And together we asked the question, what's next? This really is the power of national service. It's people connecting, it's learning together, it's gaining a better understanding of the world and how do we change it for the better. So when my service term ended, I was lucky to step into a full-time role with that sponsor and work at a nonprofit here in Maryland, the very organization, like I said, that I had served with. And every day I get to give back to the city that welcomed me when I was just some random 25-year-old from New York on a cot trying to find my place and make a difference. And all of that started with a choice, the choice to serve that I am so grateful was even available to me at the time. It's the choice to serve organizations like my own, receiving support that is so urgently needed to serve communities. So today, I really urge you to ask yourself the same question: what is next? And who is next? I know the people on this call, there's so many of you tonight that are ready to jump in. I already see what we're going to lose without AmeriCorps. Nonprofits like mine are strained. Students lose mentors. Meals aren't delivered to seniors. Down the line, communities lose, but so do we, because today's service members are tomorrow's social workers and teachers, public servants, nonprofit leaders, disaster response professionals. You name it, service people are it. And AmeriCorps programs are not expendable budget line items. It's vital infrastructure for more just and resilient America. And a tradition here is helping each other when we need it the most. So really, thank you all so much for your time tonight and being here, for your leadership, for your belief in what makes service possible. And I really, truly urge you to step up and answer the call because the phone is ringing. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ann and Jay, for being with us tonight, for sharing your story, for sharing the urgency of this moment. I love that. What's next? Who's next? It starts with a choice. And for inspiring us to join in this fight, or as Anna called it, the dance. Thank you again for sharing that story and allowing us to support you in the work you're continuing to do, particularly Anna, as you're continuing to work with your InterPulse team members. I now want to welcome another familiar face, Michael Duffy. He's going to share some of the history of this fight and why it matters so much right now from the perspective of someone who has led an AmeriCorps program and seen this work up close for years. Michael has led the Go Foundation since 2011. That foundation recruits, trains, and supports recent college graduates in year-long tutoring positions, much of which often lead to teacher residency positions. So please join me in welcoming Michael.
Thanks a lot, Amy. I want to offer a couple of stories for whatever they're worth. The first is about the school that AmeriCorps built. And it starts in 2011 from a former AmeriCorps member who relocated from Boston to Newark, New Jersey. There was an enthusiastic young mayor, Cory Booker, recently city councilor, who wanted to change education. And with 133 students and a handful of AmeriCorps members, they set out to build a community that could show what is possible when we come together and work together. From the seeds that were planted then, close to 15 years ago, grew a K-12 system of schools that educate 2,500 students. And over the years, hundreds of AmeriCorps members have served at that school. Today, many of the principals and over half of the faculty at that school are former AmeriCorps members who found their calling and got their start in their careers from this formative experience. Second story is a personal one. I was in Boston, Massachusetts many years ago. This is pre-AmeriCorps, but I think it's a useful one. I was coming of age and making my way in the world, and it was a time where I was coming to terms with my own sexual orientation as a gay man, and the AIDS epidemic was ravaging the community. And many of my friends and neighbors were abandoned by their families, by their government, by their church. And we needed to find a way to create community. And people have heard that Barack Obama was a community organizer before he became president. One of the things he said, I think, is really profound. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. And that was true at that time because we couldn't count on anybody to ride to the rescue. It was us that needed to do the work. In the same way, in this moment, we need to come together as a community. We need to organize. We need to make our voices heard in order to change the trajectory of what has happened to the national service movement that we love so much. And out of that angst and out of that concern in Boston, where I lived at the time, so many profound things were built. The AIDS Action Committee to respond to the epidemic and to gather and support and galvanize political action. The Boston Living Center, which was a place for people who were living with HIV to come together, all because we did not wait for somebody else to take up the fight. We banded together to do it ourselves. Final set of stories involves two of the members currently serving as part of the Go Tutor Corps, who I find incredibly inspiring. They're serving at the Great Oaks Charter School in New York City, which has hosted AmeriCorps members since it was created in 2013. The first is Elias, who is a young man from Bakersfield, California, who relocated to the West Village in New York City, never set foot in New York before he showed up ready to serve. He's been an amazing addition to the school community there and is a support to the social studies teacher, and through his engagement has found a passion to become a teacher and wants to come back next year and be a part of the teacher residency program that Go runs to help take AmeriCorps members and use that year of service as an apprenticeship to become an effective classroom teacher. His partner is Destiny, somebody who is his polar opposite in terms of personality. She's quiet, she's reserved, but she burns with a quiet intensity that she brings to the work that she does as a tutor and mentor. I'm not sure what's next for Destiny, but I know that having watched her from her start last year to today, that this has been a formative experience that's going to help propel her into her future. So those are my stories, and stories I hope can be helpful to others as they think about the work that's ahead.
Thank you, Michael. I wrote down so many good nuggets of what you said. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We can't count on other people to come to the rescue, to change the trajectory. I think also thinking about all the different stories you shared about how each member that you told a story about had a different gift to give, and a different skill set or a different way of doing things. And it's the same with this collective group. We all have a gift we can share in this collective action we're going to ask you to take. So thank you. I think you're seeing a theme here, people. Thanks again for sharing your AmeriCorps story and for all you've done over the many years to support your program, your members, your community in the field. Michael, your work is really important. I'm now so pleased to welcome another person for whom many of you know as well already. Tess Mason Elder has been in the national service world since 2006, and she just completed her term as director of AmeriCorps' Office of Government Relations this past January. Tess has an astute understanding of how our elected officials think about AmeriCorps and national service. She joins us tonight to help introduce some of the efforts that are already in motion and how we can build pressure in the field to complement them.
Thank you, Amy. It is such an honor to join this passionate group of people in the fight to save AmeriCorps. And while sadly not an AmeriCorps alum myself, as Amy mentioned, I've been fighting for national service for nearly 2 decades, getting my start with the State Service Commission in California, California Volunteers, and serving nearly 10 years at the AmeriCorps Agency, most recently leading the Office of Government Relations during the Biden administration. And I continue to be called to this fight because of the AmeriCorps members, like you've heard from already, and the AmeriCorps seniors volunteers I met in too many communities to count through my time at the agency. It's the AmeriCorps NCCC members who showed up with compassion and purpose in Baton Rouge, in West Virginia, and in my home state of California to help their fellow Americans dig through the rubble of their homes after disasters, and the AmeriCorps Seniors Foster Grandparent Volunteers in Baltimore and the Zuni Pueblo who helped a child learn to read while improving their own health and breaking down their own social isolation. They keep me dedicated to this work, and they give me hope. Sadly, AmeriCorps is no stranger to fighting for its very existence. We have fought, and we have won year after year after year. Whether during the funding and enrollment crisis in 2003, the House Republican budget resolution to slash funding in 2015, or the first Trump administration's 4 years of budget proposals to shut the agency down, we have won, and I'm confident we can win again. But as you've heard tonight, this fight is different, and the threats aren't something that may happen in the future. They are happening now. They are happening to thousands of AmeriCorps members and AmeriCorps senior volunteers who have had their service abruptly ended. And they're happening to 85% of the agency staff who are seeing their jobs at risk. A job I personally witnessed them do with excellence, passion, and a commitment to the country and the communities that AmeriCorps serves. And as painful as the past month has been for our collective Ameri family, the good news is we have faced hard battles before, and as you will continue to hear me say, we know how to win. We won by building and maintaining bipartisan champions in Congress and ensuring every member of Congress knew the impact of AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps seniors in their communities. This mix of inside action in DC and outside pressure and engagement in districts and states has been critical to our collective success. And as Amy referenced earlier, the national service advocacy community, with the leadership of Voices for National Service, America's Service Commissions, Service Year Alliance, and many more, have activated to urgently fight the DOJ actions. This has included strategic activation of key congressional champions and appropriators through grass tops outreach and engagement, mobilization of the grantee, program, and alumni community through Contact Congress, email, and phone campaigns, and an upcoming Save AmeriCorps District Day action in June. It's the collection of amplification of member and volunteer and alumni stories by engaging governors and attorneys general in the legal battles, and finally helping encourage lots of press with op-eds and amazing stories about the communities that are being devastated by these cuts. Key to these DC-focused advocacy efforts has been the recognition that in this current political environment, unlike maybe in some years past, the path to achieve our goal of reversing the cuts that have taken place and protecting AmeriCorps moving forward is with Republican support and action. We need them to stay engaged, to be part of the solution, and be comfortable aligning with and supporting our efforts, both publicly and privately. So we've worked to be positive in our messaging and not attack those that we need to help us save AmeriCorps. And as you have heard from other speakers tonight, the fight ahead will require urgent action by each and every one of us right now. We can't wait to get in the fight because it's already here. But I know just from this people we've already heard talk and watching this amazing chat, and I'm looking forward to catching up on what's been going on. I know that this group assembled here and the efforts you all are kicking off tonight, you will help us keep up the pressure across the country to make the efforts in DC even more successful. And together, I know we'll prove once again that the fight to save AmeriCorps is one that we can and we will win. So thank you for what you're doing, and more importantly, what you're going to do over the next 4 weeks and beyond. Thanks again for the opportunity to join. Amy, I'll hand it back over to you.
Great, thanks. Tess, I don't know if you've been seeing in the chat, but everyone says you're an official alum, so you have that honorary title.
Thanks, I'll
Thanks
wear
so
it with
much.
pride.
Yeah, a couple of things I just want to acknowledge. I want to say that when we're talking about our AmeriCorps family, I want you to know that we're being very inclusive of all the amazing and wonderful people and programs that lead, like Tess talked about, with excellence, passion, and commitment. That's the NCCC, it's VISTA, it's AmeriCorps Seniors, it's state and national, it's tribal, and many more. So I want you to know that this is about all of you all that are here together. And the threat is now, this fight is different, as she said, and we know how to win. So thanks again, Tess, for being with us tonight. You're a hero in this world. So everyone was shouting out to you. Thanks for sharing your AmeriCorps story and talking to us about the current landscape and where we can mobilize to push forward these efforts to remind our elected officials at how important AmeriCorps is in their districts. We've heard several different voices talk about the urgency of the moment. You're going to hear a few more in a little bit. We've heard about the long history of AmeriCorps and why it has meant so much to so many and where things stand in other parts of the organizing field. Now we're going to talk about the tangible next steps that we can all take together. And this is what I'm calling beginning the action phase of this collective effort. I'm going to use some terms that Tess just talked about. These are the grassroots steps that will complement the grass top steps. So I'm really pleased to welcome Jake Schlachter, a longtime community organizer from We Own It in Wisconsin. He's going to walk us through a nationwide organizing plan that will be rooted in not just anger over what's happened, but also hope that we can follow in a long tradition of moving the needle and bring about a future of national service that we all want to see. So Jake, take it away.
Thanks, Amy. It's so good to be back with everybody. From April 30th, I introduced myself then. I'm Jake Schlachter. I live in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm a longtime community organizer and a member of the Stand With Service team. Talking with Amy, talking with Shannon, talking with the team, talking with some other folks, these conversations, feeling a lot of urgency to be part of this movement. The question was, what can we actually do? And so we started to develop the theory of change, right? That we think that what we can do is we can generate a whole bunch of media coverage all across the country in members' districts everywhere. and that can create the kind of public pressure. You know, when we're out there telling stories that then get picked up by members of the media, by television, by print writers, online, radio. That's doing two things. Number one, that's carrying our stories directly to the American public that needs to hear them. And that's also demonstrating to the member of Congress that there's substantial community interest in AmeriCorps. And when we've got these wonderful stories about how important and impactful AmeriCorps has been, how devastating these cuts have been, and the impact they will have on our community and on our people, that is going to create a lot of pressure for the member of Congress to want to be on our side. And so that is our theory. And so the best way we feel to get into what is admittedly a very busy and fractured media moment in our country right now, is with an event, right? Is something that we can bring a whole lot of people to, is something that we can bring key members of our community to speak at, the kind of people that when they are talking, the press covers them, like that's news. That can have good visual actions that photographers can take pictures of, that TV news cameras can get, that produces compelling footage for them so that they want to run it on their stations. But events take time to plan and prep for, right? So we are targeting June 16th, 17th, and 18th for all of our events everywhere across the country together to generate just an onslaught of media coverage and pressure on our individual members of Congress who are starting to see their name show up in the newspaper a lot in regards to their stance on AmeriCorps, whether that's good because they're supporting it or whether that's not so good because they are silent on it. And because that is when they are going to be back in their districts, in our districts, and that's the best time to generate a lot of news about them. So we can do things, like show up at their office, bang on their door with cameras rolling. And we've got enough time to kind of prep for that. So that's what we think we can do. So I want to enjoin you to visualize a little bit. Imagine the event that you and your team are going to put on. Okay, where is it? Is it at the member of Congress's office in district? Is it at a nonprofit site that has been impacted by the cuts to AmeriCorps? Is it at another symbolic location that would be really meaningful for your community? What is the action that folks are doing? There's a crowd of supporters, people that are standing with service, right? That are friends of AmeriCorps. Are they telling their stories? Are they banging on the member's door? Are they going to have a cycle of in-person visits, one after the other after the other? Are they printing out letters that they've written to the member of Congress asking for their support that they're going to hand to the member, to the staff with the cameras rolling? So what's the action there that the cameras will pick up? And then perhaps before they go in and do that, maybe there are going to be some speakers. Maybe there are going to be beneficiaries that are talking about how AmeriCorps has touched their lives, or alumni talking about the impact that service has made on their lives. Maybe there are going to be those key members of the community that are bringing the news with them as they tell about the importance of AmeriCorps and the devastation of these cuts on our community. And maybe there's going to be a crowd, because not only are we bringing out all of our supporters of AmeriCorps, but those key members of the community are bringing their people as well. And so now we've actually got quite a few folks that have showed up in our space, and that generates news as well. So you can imagine the press is going to be there. There's a few print reporters that are there. There's some photographers. There's a TV news camera over there. Oh, there's another TV news camera over there, right? So we're starting to see the pictures. And then at the end of all of these wonderful stories that we're sharing, there's a question, right? We say, hey, we asked Representative Smith to give us a letter of support that we could read to you all today. And what's going to be the answer to that, right? Hey, and here it is. And we're so glad to have Representative Smith's support on this. Or it's going to be, but we did not get a letter, right? And we asked Representative Smith to come out and join us. They're right inside here. And they are not here, right? So we're not making a hit piece or anything. We're just stating the facts. We gave them an offer to be heard and show their support, and whether they take it or not is up to them. And then that will enable the news writers to write their story. That will enable television folks to tell their story, and that is how we will create the pressure on Congress that we need to make them want to be on our side, right? And that is how we create political power. Okay, so maybe you've done a ton of events and this seems really straightforward. Maybe event planning is kind of new and this seems like a lot. I guarantee you there is someone in your community that has a ton of event planning experience and wants to save AmeriCorps with you, right? So this is why we organize in teams, because we can benefit from different skills and different perspectives and different amounts of time, and bring in multiple supporters that are connected through all of our relationships as well. So we're going to start a team. That's kind of the most important first step. And if we think about what it's going to take, to pull off something like this, well, if we want to have the press there, we're probably gonna want someone on the team that is interacting with the press, that's researching our media markets, that's figuring out how do we contact the news desks at all these different places. So maybe a press lead. If we're doing an action, that's kind of advocacy and dealing with a member of Congress, we're probably going to want an advocacy lead that is interacting with staff, that is setting up appointments, that is introducing our group and what our interests are, and in inviting them to write a letter of support that we could read and or speak at our event, but handling that kind of communication and traffic. There's, who brought all of those speakers, those high profile community members that the press followed. Somebody probably had to sit down with them and make the ask and recruit them to come and be speakers. So we probably need a recruitment lead. A lot of this turning out supporters is getting people the information about where to be and when, communicating by email, communicating on social media. So we're probably going to want like a comms team, maybe with a data and comms, because a lot of our communication is digital these days. We have tools like Action Network that we can use to build a list of supporters to use to send emails out, make sure everyone is in the right place at the right time, figure out what our turnout is and track our metrics. Obviously somebody is going to be planning the event too, and that is very much a team effort. So someone who's leading a team of folks that's going to be thinking about locations and parking and logistics and all of those good things. So an event lead. And then last, of course, but not least, is someone to facilitate all of these wonderful people working on teams and make sure that meetings are scheduled on time and commitments are being kept and balls aren't dropping, and we're all moving in the same direction at the same speed. So like a team facilitator role. So those are some of our ideas about like how folks can form a team in order to pull something like this off. And probably a lot of you already have folks you can imagine would make perfect team members. But maybe some folks are like, looking for other people. In a minute, we're going to have a form you can sign up and fill out. And then if we have other folks that are in your district, we will make sure that you all are connected so that you can find AmeriCorps supporters that you didn't even know yet. And together you can pull off a team to do one of these events. And so this is basically the plan. And don't worry about how fast I talk, because we've got it all written down for you. We've produced a guide that has all of this in some helpful scaffolding, if that would be useful for you as you are planning and forming your team. The biggest, I think, key to pulling all of this off is going to be how quickly you can get your team assembled and launched. So to that end, we are going to be, connecting other folks that you've signed up. We're going to be asking you to go forth tonight and recruit your team. And then we are all going to be meeting back here a week from now, from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Bring your team with you. We're going to do a little bit of training on the campaign strategy and telling the campaign story, so that everyone feels like they can lead, being able to tell a story of why they're a part of this campaign and recruiting other people to it. And we're going to then move into breakouts and actually launch our teams. So come back in a week and we will launch teams together. And then we'll figure out how much capacity everyone has on their team and what kind of event they want to plan and pull off. we've been, kind of imagining that most folks might want to do a rally at their members' location or another site, but it doesn't have to be, right? It's up to your team. If this is like, you want to organize a service project and then, have an event after or something else entirely, it's really about you knowing your territory, your community, and what is going to get media coverage and what the capacity of your team is to plan on the limited time that we have available. And so we're happy to support whatever actions you all want to pull off. And the second thing that will be critical is building your list of supporters. So you've seen that we use Action Network. You've all signed up multiple times, I'm sure, for Action Network. We're going to ask you to do it again in just a minute. This is the tool that we use to send out emails and track our list. And so we want to make that available to you. So when you sign up tonight, you will get an email tomorrow and Friday about being invited to join our Action Network. So then you will be able to get access to this tool, and you can use that to start building your list and turning out your supporters for your event as well. And we'll be available to provide some support as folks are getting up and running on the Action Network tools in our online community that we'll tell you about as well. So remember, nobody's doing this alone, right? We're going to help you pull together your team because teamwork makes the dream work. And then you're also being supported by all of the other teams across the whole country, and our Stand with Service team, which wants to provide the scaffolding and whatever support will be necessary to make sure that everyone is successful. And together we can really turn the dial on how much media coverage AmeriCorps gets. We got 4 weeks to do this, folks. Right? The RIF date is coming up on June 24th. The $400 million of grants that has been cut is leading to layoffs and closures. We don't have a lot of time to turn this around. And so what we do over the next 4 weeks is what's going to matter the most. And I'll turn it back to you, Amy.
Thank you, Jake. I don't know about you all, but I am pumped. So now to the action steps, which is why you're here with us tonight. Today, we're kicking off this urgent 4-week sprint that Jake has been talking about to restore AmeriCorps by forming those teams in our congressional districts throughout the country and territories. We're asking you this question: will you join us? If you're with us, first put up that emoji reaction and then click the link that's being shared in the chat to sign up. We're going to wait a couple of minutes for you all to make this happen, to do your sign up, and we'll share the link a few times in case the chat overtakes it as things scroll up. But again, share that emoji reaction and click that link, fill out the form so you can begin the first step of signing up.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, and thanks, Jenny, for posting that multiple times. We're seeing the chat. Scroll it off, and so that's gonna help us that action figure out who is in which congressional district, so we can get people partnered up. There's a question about would you be willing to be the facilitator for your team, so that we can kind of work with you on setting up the tools and supporting you and your team, or would you rather somebody else be the facilitator and join their team? And if there are any questions you have for us or other things that you'd like us to know, you can let us all know through there. We've got 47 folks have signed up so far. That's wonderful. I want to see 47
People, don't be
actions.
afraid. We can do this. Each of you has skill sets to bring to this, has networks to bring to this. We're here to support you. You're not going to be alone. I can't believe that you would think in this AmeriCorps family that you'd be alone, but yeah, we're going to help guide you all through this.
62, 79.
Yay. 83.
And it's going to be so much fun when you're saying like, well, we're going to have 200 supporters of AmeriCorps along with these key senior members of our community whose names all speaking about how important this is. We would love to offer, if the representative wanted, a letter of support that we could read at that time. Can you get it to us by Monday? That's going to be so much fun, folks.
Yeah. And some one of the questions, Jake, earlier was, can we share this link? And I'm assuming the answer is yes, like we can spread this link as fast
Yeah.
and far as we want. Okay.
Yep.
Good, good.
And have your team members sign up and bring them with you. We're still figuring out the logistics of how that's going to work next week, but we're going to try to get people in breakouts by congressional district so that you can have an opportunity to meet with your team and launch into action together.
Love that. The Mayor family's broad. Yes, bring moms on, site supervisors, alums, members, family members, friends. It doesn't have to be people who are in it right now.
Can we get
Sorry
that
to be
link posted
slow.
one
Can
more
we get
time,
that?
please?
Yeah. Thanks. Here we go. Thanks.
And in between now and next Wednesday, right, we're going to be supporting each other and continuing to organize in our online community that we've launched. Now I mentioned that we had a guide written down for you. It's true. Can we get that put up?
Link share.
There we are. Yes, so we have a kind of indivisible style guide on just some ideas, some fuel for your imagination, what you might want to do, that you can find inside of our online community. So this is something we've been working on for about a month now. A lot of you, I'm sure, are already plugged in, but you are going to be able to find this guide. You're going to be able to find each other and connect and begin organizing with each other. By, let's see, do we have a link for folks to join?
Discord.
By clicking this link right here. That's if you don't already have an account, that's going to help you create an account. It's going to take you to a page where you can put in your email address and choose whatever username you want. You could use your name, or if you want some anonymity, you can do that too. And then that will email you a link to verify. And then once you click that link, then you will be able to get dropped in. You'll come to our friendly say hi to the community and introduce yourself thread. You'll see a lot of other introductions that have already come before you. And be sure to put what congressional district you are in so that you can start finding each other and coordinating in your district. We'll give you a minute to do that too.
One of the questions, Jake, and it's a good question because I know some people it's applicable for a few different people. They might be in one space right now, but are going to be in another space come the June 16th, 17th, 18th. Any thoughts about is it okay that they help virtually, or what play
Absolutely.
location they should
Yeah.
choose? Mhm.
Yeah, if you want to support, it's not your district, it's not your representative, but you want to support the team that's organizing there, we'll get you plugged in. Just give us the address when you sign up for which, for the district you want to support. Let's see. Can we get the invite? Yeah, there we go. All right, so if you haven't yet, please click that and join us.
Do
This
we
is
know
where
our
we're gonna be
number right
organizing in
now?
between.
Anyone know what our number is right now on how many people? 123, we're getting there. And I have a very strong feeling that once we share this link out to our different worlds, we're gonna get more. 126, we have 200 people on this call. Come on, people. All right, you want me to take it from here, Jake? Or
Yeah.
give it just a little bit more time?
We'll keep signing up, however long it takes. And why don't you go ahead, Amy?
Okay, again, I wanted to say thank you for everyone who's taking the time to fill out the forms, to get on the community. We're gonna have just a couple more people that are going to share their stories. I want to welcome Alani and Danny, two more familiar young leaders from the NCCC Recognition of Service. Woo! Who've both taken action alongside some of their fellow NCCC members. Alani was the first NCCC Blue Unit team leader who, when demobilized 1 month ago, it seems like so long ago, started a GoFundMe to continue service with their term. And Danny is an earlier two-time NCCC alum for both the Pacific and Southwest regions who started the change.org petition that now has almost 11,000 signatures. Alani and Danny, I want to ask you, how do we bring in not only those thousands in, but also, hello, the millions of alums and supporters in with us? What's your final call to action for us this evening? I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. And thank you all for welcoming us all back. Similar to Anna, who spoke earlier, my team was demobilized. We were part of the Pacific region, class 31A, but we found a way to carry on our service. So this is Lucy from Blue 8 and Mariah from Blue 8, and we got more members outside on the call. And right now we're in Palmer, Alaska. We're partnered with Habitat for Humanity, as well as a bunch of other nonprofits around the area. We're currently at a musk ox farm right now, doing some maintenance around the farm. So we have a lot of amazing things coming our way for this summer. As Jake and Amy shared, we have to do this together. Protecting national service is going to be a nationwide team-based effort. Much like NCCC, we need to rely on each other to finish the project. I want to encourage you all to use the tools that have been shared tonight to find your team in your communities, and to come back next week ready to activate your local plan. For those of you who might not be in your district right now, like we are, it's time to get creative and find ways to build community in many ways. So with the people that you're with, but also with the people back in your congressional district. So do it virtually, get online, make phone calls, and make it happen. Anna and I are both committed to making this happen and to writing letters as a team, and making phone calls as a team. So it's time to get prepared and be creative. So thank you, and I'll pass it over to Danny.
Thank you, Alani. I would just like to say I am a very nervous person, but it helps me so much to know that most of us have worn the same khaki cargo pants for like 10 months, so that's helpful to me. Like so many of you have shared, AmeriCorps has shaped so many of our lives in so many different ways. And one thing that I've heard over and over again from almost every organization I've worked with through AmeriCorps is we couldn't have done this without you. So how many organizations, now that AmeriCorps has been taken away, are just saying, we can't? So, and that's something that is something worth fighting for. And we can't do this without each other. I join Alani and others in asking you to find your friends, fill out the form, and come ready to join us again next week and activate our teams. And your teams can be so many different people around you. Talk to your coworkers, talk to your grandma. I saw grandma in the chat earlier. Anyone who loves and cares about you, anyone on your former teams, anyone that you can find who cares about this. I have already been organizing in my congressional district in New Hampshire. We're a small state, but I heard that we have like 25 alumni that have been in contact, which is amazing. I want to leave you all with a bit of hope, and that is that AmeriCorps produces amazing citizens. And I know so many of my former team members and myself that have gone out and helped their communities in so many different ways after leaving this program. And we matter to each other, and we matter to the communities that we help every single day. So I want you to go get your team. We'll see you in a week. Please watch your inboxes for next steps. And in the meantime, let's connect in the community online. That's been shared in the chat. And thank you all so much for coming. And thank you all for all of the work that you're choosing to do. We're AmeriCorps and we don't give up. Thank you so much.
We're AmeriCorps and we get things done. Thanks, Danny and Alani. How can you all not sign up right now? I feel like I'm on a telethon. How can you all not sign up right now and give of your time and energy? We have to do this together, as Alani said. And I think alongside what Danny was sharing, we owe it to AmeriCorps for all that it's given back to us. So sign up now. This isn't your last chance, but do it now while you're here. I'm going to turn it over to Jake. to do a few more final logistics, and then I'll close it out.
Thanks, Amy. Folks, it's wonderful to be with you all tonight and to be leaving so inspired and know that we're going to be seeing so many of you again in a week with your teams. Very, very excited about that. The way this is going to work, folks, politics seems to be working a little bit differently, but public opinion is still what matters. This is all a game, a battle for public opinion. And this is a place where you can have some degree of success by contacting your congressperson directly, but you can have maybe a whole lot more by contacting the public and making sure that Americans know, because that will put a lot more pressure on that member of Congress. And what we really want is not necessarily, it may be that member of Congress never actually comes out publicly in support of AmeriCorps, but maybe privately they are calling the White House and saying, you got to stop this. I'm getting killed out here in the newspapers and on TV. I need AmeriCorps back. That is a win, and we will take it, right? We have seen how the story a couple of days ago was the Nebraska Republican congressional delegation getting their meteorologists back after they were cut at the NWS, right? So this is how Congress works these days, but we still need Congress to do it. And so that's where we come in with our ability to create lots of tension and discomfort for our local member of Congress unless they are on our side in restoring AmeriCorps. It's great to be with you all. Before we jump, we're going to ask you, how can we make our meetings even better? We're going to do this again in a week. So before you leave, if you would please put into the chat one thing that you think we did really well this time, we should do that again. One delta that you think we should do differently next time. And then one key learning or something you're taking away from tonight's meeting. If you can put that in the chat, we will be going through this later, and that helps our team learn and be better every time.
Thanks,
And
Jake.
I'll give you the last word, Amy.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for being here tonight. To echo a few times, keep an eye on your inbox and in the online community for next steps, including instructions on how to get connected to your local team. Send out that link so we can sign up more people. We'll send out details about next week's call on Wednesday, May 28th from 7:30 to 9:30 Eastern time, where again, we're going to be launching our online team launch workshop. Again, as you make your way out, take a moment to put in the chat those pluses, deltas, and key takeaways. I just want to end with saying thank you again for your time, your energy, your passion, your heart, your commitment, and your connections. Because I know, I see the names on the screen, all of you all are connected. You are each an AmeriCorps hero, and we know that in the true spirit of AmeriCorps, we're going to get things done. And I couldn't leave this group without ending with a few words from our pledge. So faced with apathy, we will take action. Faced with conflict, we will seek common ground. Sorry. And faced with adversity, we will persevere. We can't wait to see you again next week and see the groups you all formed and that you've joined in this collective work. I thought I could make it without crying, but I didn't. So there we go. Thanks again, everyone. Click on those links if you haven't done so. Anything else, Jake, to wrap this up?
I think that's it. We'll let people get some things in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of our panelists.